The storm rolled over Blackridge Hollow the night the baby cried. Thunder cracked, the winds howled, and then, from the old Whitmore house at the edge of the woods, came the unmistakable wail of a newborn, a cry loud enough to echo through the decaying floorboards and broken windows. The townspeople rushed in the next morning, drawn by the sound and the legend. The Whitmore home had been empty since Eliza Whitmore disappeared nearly 9 months ago. Everyone assumed she had run off, heartbroken and alone after her husband died. But when they entered, they found a miracle. A newborn baby boy, healthy and swaddled in tattered curtains, lay in the cradle in the corner of the nursery. The air reeked of mold and rot, but the townsfolk didn't care. The baby was alive. A gift, a miracle. Sheriff Dalton found her, skin stretched tight over bones, her dress fused with dried fluids to the mattress. She had been dead for months. The coroner said she must have died early in her pregnancy. But no one could explain the baby. There were no signs of anyone else living in the house. No bottles, no diapers, no food. Just a healthy child and the corpse of a forgotten mother. The town didn't ask questions. They buried Eliza quietly and turned their eyes to the child, who had no name but a scream loud enough to shake the dead. Mrs. Conley, the local widow, offered to care for the boy. She called him David after her late husband. But the baby never slept. Not once. He wailed from dusk till dawn, and nothing could soothe him. Not food, not rocking, not lullabies. When they tried silence, the house shook. Lights flickered. Windows cracked. Cats screeched and clawed at the walls. It was as if the world had to hear him cry. Or else. Still, the town insisted he was a miracle. He's just colicky, they said. He'll grow out of it. But he didn't. Mrs. Connolly began seeing shadows where there should be none. Not just in corners, but hovering over the crib. She swore she saw Eliza Wanser rotting hand reaching toward the child, lips moving silently. No one believed her until she tried to give the baby back. He's not mine, she whispered, trembling. He was never meant to be here. That night, she was found dead in a rocking chair, eyes wide, mouth open in a silent scream. The baby was in her arms, quiet for the first time. The town grew uneasy. Church bells rang without cause. Graves shifted in the cemetery. And every midnight, the baby's cries echoed louder than ever, as if dozens of voices cried with him. Father Whitlock tried an exorcism. He lasted 7 minutes before vomiting blood and fleeing the house. His face blistered like he'd stared into fire. She never gave birth, he screamed. She died with him still inside her. They dug up Eliza's grave. Her coffin was empty. In its place were long, claw-like scratches in the wood. From the inside, her body had never been buried. She had never left the house. The baby was born in death, nursed by rot, soothed by decay. He hadn't been delivered, he had crawled out. And still, he cried. Blackridge Hollow held a final gathering. They dressed a baby in white. They called him an angel, a blessing. And they sang lullabies, their voices quivering, their eyes hollow. But none of them dared take him home again. The house was sealed. The cries still echo from within, louder with each passing night. Some say if you listen closely, it's not one baby crying anymore. It's 2, maybe more. And they're all calling for their mother, who is still upstairs, waiting, smiling. The town tried to forget, tried to pretend the cries weren't there. But every night, the sound grew not just in volume, but in number. Children began sleepwalking to the edge of the forest, eyes blank, hands outstretched. They whispered things in their sleep. She sings to us. She says, we're hers now. He's not done crying. Parents kept their children locked in at night, but locks don't work when the thing calling to them already lives in their bones. In desperation, the townsfolk gathered in the church, clutching candles and prayer books like armor. Father Whitlock returned, face still scarred, voice hoarse and cracked. They agreed to burn the house. A dozen men went up the hill with gasoline and fire in their eyes. But the moment they struck the match, the winds howled louder than the flames, and the baby cried so hard the sky split open. The fire swallowed the house, but not the cries. The next morning, in the center of the ash, they found the cradle, unburnt, untouched, and empty. The town started to rot after that. Crops turned black, wells filled with blood-tinged water, graves burst open with no bodies inside. People left, houses were abandoned. Children born after that night all came out screaming and never stopped. Some families drowned the cries in bathtubs. Others vanished into the woods, following lullabies in the wind. A year later, the only thing that remained in Blackridge Hollow was the cradle. And at night, it rocks itself. In a city miles away, in a new home with a young couple, an antique shop delivery arrived. A gift from a seller who left no name. They found it charming jeweled, elegant, untouched by time. A cradle. They placed it in the attic for now. That night, just before sleep, the wife turned to her husband with wide eyes. Did you hear that? What? A baby. Crying. Upstairs, the cradle rocks, alone, waiting. The miracle has moved on, and it's still crying, forever.